Good morning, everybody. I'm DruStew, and welcome out to the replay here, sitting up here with three world champions, guys, in their own right. We are kicking off day number 1 of the National Finals Rodeo, and we've been sitting here just kind of shooting the breeze. Wesley, Miles, T-Wade, good morning, fellas.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for getting out of bed so early this morning.
That was hard for you, wasn't it?
Oh, I got kids. I was up at 5.
Were you? Yep, up and rolling.
Don't
Give her
say
a bottle
that.
and went back to sleep.
Yeah. So, guys, it's game time. You know, we had the steer break in here a few weeks ago. It's all culmination, national finals, finale going on. We got stuff going on here at the South Point. Where are we at? Where are we at in our headspace right now getting into the finals?
Well, it's round 1 tonight, so it's kind of good to get the roller coaster started, but it kind of feels like that throughout the 10 days. I've never had it where it felt like it was going as good as you wanted, but when it's going terrible, it's probably not going as bad as you think it is. So I just kind of know to don't underestimate what it is and just kind of going with an open mind, really. I mean, we put the work in coming into it and try not to have, we hope to do well,
Sure.
but try not to set the expectations too high because you can only control what you can, what you can control.
Does it feel any different? So this is your 9th trip, right, Wes?
That's correct.
So you've been here 9 times. Can you remember that first time walking down?
Yeah.
Tell me about that, walking down the tunnel that first time.
So first time to me, I tell people to this day, I couldn't focus on anything. Like whenever I was riding in the box, like I could hear everybody in the stands. Like I could hear everything going on and nothing that I should have been focused on. And I mean, it was in a cool way. Like I wasn't nervous. I really was. I was excited, but like I just had no idea what to expect. And the setup is so unlike anywhere else. I mean, the steers are as fast as it gets. The setup's fast. The angles are different. And just preparing, for a first-time guy, it's so hard to prepare for what's to come when you don't know what to expect. You think you do, and you can watch it all day long. Yeah. It looks like you're watching on TV, it doesn't look like they're that fast. Then you get there, and it's a whole nother ball game. So I was not focused on what I should have been focused on.
Yeah.
Different horse here than you've ever rode before, too. And you're talking about fast. That's one of my favorite horses to watch. He looks like he gets down the pin good, and Patrick's always done such a good job keeping a frame on his horses through the turn, and I was excited to watch you ride that horse because it looks like you'll have an advantage getting down the pin and getting around them and still being able to see the feet. But go back, he's riding Patrick Smith's Horse of the Year, Turbo, and we've got to see Wesley ride him some already, and it's been cool. But what are you feeling on him here since it's something new?
The cool thing about that horse is, like you said, he does keep his shoulders up. And ideally, the number one thing I'm always focused on is getting down the pin. I mean, I want to give myself a little width, first stride. I was telling Wade the other day on the run-through, like, it's funny how your process to get in this mindset, like my rhythm hasn't been like I wanted on even the first couple on the run-through. But then I had to tell myself, like, be on go, but then relax. Like, get going and then relax. Find your lane. Get where you need to be. And that horse keeps his shoulders up so well. So if I don't get down the pin as far as I want, it's not the end of the world, if that makes sense. He's still going to be fluid.
He doesn't block you off.
He's not going to block me off. His shoulder's going to be up, and it's going to cut, 1 or 2 more swings. He'll still finish good and go on to the next one. Try to get to as far down the pin as we can, but if we don't, just keep everything fluid, heel him when it's right, and finish the run.
Yeah, you're talking about if you're not where you want to be, being able to take a few more swings. And what people probably don't realize, like the left wall is so close for y'all, and then if a horse is shouldering in and it blocks you off, it takes those few extra swings to get the run back at a good angle. And like if that horse can stay framed, even if you don't get far enough down the pin, he's not going to block you off or lose momentum, so it's not going to be the end of the world if you got to take those swings.
Absolutely. A heeler can't throw until the shoulders are square. And like you'll never see, you can watch all the videos you want, and a heeler never turns his loop loose while the shoulders are in his way. You can't do it no matter how fast you want to throw. So them staying out of your way, it always gives you a window to put your rope down.
Yep.
Let's go and let's talk about the head and side of things. So
I don't think he thinks about any of that.
They don't care about that. Right?
He just ropes 2 feet. I don't even know. I never put all that together.
That's a whole lot. No idea what you just talked about.
They say heading's the hard part. I don't understand.
Yeah, right. So quarterbacking over there, you know, one thing I was talking to the guys at the steer break-in, and one thing that every header, like I was talking to Luke about it, and we went back to his first trip here, and he said, you don't realize how fast it happens. He said, I remember the first time I go down, and I'm at the bottom of my nod, and I'm late. And he said, you are behind the whole time. Does it really happen that fast at the Thomas and Mack?
You know, it does. Like,
not when you throw 40 foot of rope every time.
It's different for you, for sure.
I remember the first time I came, I missed the first 2. So then I just got a mailbox full of suggestions, and everybody's like, just miss a bear and reach at him. You know what I mean? Well, that makes sense. Let's do that. So, but honestly, it like the crowd and everything, it feels like they're on top of you. Mm-hmm. And it's a way different feel. And for me, I'm a guy that, like, you can tell me anything, and I just have to go learn from my own mistakes. Yeah. And I've made enough of them now that I feel like I make less because I've already made my own mistakes, which I wish I was the guy that learned from, just say, hey, don't do that, and I never do it, but I'm not. I'm the guy that, like, I had to lose.
You're a
before
really
I figured
bad
out how to
kid.
Win. I was
you?
I was a
you
terrible
had to test
listener.
the waters.
Hey, I'm right there with
if
you.
they were like, don't touch that, I'm like, is it really that
Yeah, I'm going to
hot?
touch it.
Might see. So I don't know. For me, it's like I've learned from my own mistakes and kind of figured out what works, I guess. I'm still making them, but learning from them,
Yeah.
So
we were talking earlier, you and I, you said something that I thought was pretty cool, and the testament probably to why your horse is so dang good, and he's stays running for you and stuff. But a lot of people have to worry about their horses getting tight and dropping and stuff in here. And you said, one time at the run through, you knocked him off your left rein, and then he said you'll have to tell him it's okay now. And I thought that was a cool attribute, being in this arena where I'm going to say 95% of the guys come out here hoping they can get by their horse and keep them from ducking, and then your horse sounds like he's just really honest.
The special ones, as well as I do, that like you don't correct them or train them any way or another. You show them, and then they do it. You know what I mean? And they're willing to help you. And you show them, and they got it. And that's how that horse is. Like, I'm liable to lose my rope one night, and then the next night ride better, and he just goes right to the cow. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have to start all over and change everything. You just kind of show him what to do, point, aim, and shoot, So going at it this year I got the head horse of the year, the heel horse of the year, and the best healer. So, like, it's all on me. You know what I mean? It sounds easy, but it's a lot of pressure up here.
No, that is cool. I didn't think about the two horses going together, head horse and heel horse of the year, but that's pretty sweet, and it's got to be a big advantage
and
here.
It was super cool, for a while. Thorp was borrowing Turbo, and Tanner was borrowing Spur. So, like, we would both tag team them at the rodeo. And the first time we did it, did you at Logan? Did you ride Turbo also, or you rode the yellow?
I rode Turbo at Logan. Yeah.
And Tanner's horse was colicking, so he jumped on mine, and we both went 4-5. First time he ever hopped on his back.
How cool is that?
And next place he rides him is Treedmont in Utah. They go first on a runner, make a heck of a run, and they're 4 flat. And we had a good one and come back and was 4 flat. 2 total opposite runs, but the same outcome. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's horsepower.
That's horsepower. That's when you know they're good, when anybody can get on them and do it. That's a good way to test a horse's greatness if anybody can get on them and win like that.
We go to Ellensburg too, in a total different setup, 3-header, and we went 5 every time. And Tanner and Patrick wound up winning second. I think we placed somewhere. So it was pretty cool to see that horse.
Awesome.
Big testament to Patrick Smith for me, because my year would have looked a lot different if it wouldn't have been for him. Yeah. I had some really weird circumstances happen. I had more horses this year that I liked than I'd ever had, like really? In my whole career, by far. Like, I had 4 horses that I did not care which one I rode. I really liked all 4. Then there was my mare that kind of my main jackpot horse. Haven't rodeoed on her as much, so technically, 5 horses that I really, really liked, and they were all down at the same time.
Oh, man.
And it was anywhere from, one getting kicked to one got sick to an infection to a cut in the fence to all strange things. One got hurt in the trailer. And it was like they were all down at the same time, and they was juggling trying to get them all back. Yeah. And it was right in the heat of when you need, you're running 4 or 5 rodeos a week. Yeah. So 3-4 weeks in there, that's a lot of rodeos, a lot of steers. So I got stuck in a crosshairs there, and Patrick let me on his horses. Yeah. Even if they were up somewhere different, I got to ride his other horse, and if we were at the same place, I rode Turbo. So my year would have looked a lot different if it wouldn't have been for that. I mean, it was pretty cool to have that opportunity.
Yeah, and having to overcome those things. I mean, T-Way, that's just like what you just had to deal with. That's got to be tough, part of this game right here, you know. But thank goodness we've got great pals in this industry, huh?
He didn't charge. I don't know if I didn't pay him or he didn't charge me, but it was a pretty good deal.
mix of the two.
Mix of the two.
So
no,
talk.
it was pretty cool.
Talk to me about head horse and heel horse of the year. It's kind of special because it's you guys, right? Like, talk about how they come up with the head horse and heel horse of the year.
I guess the top 25 get to vote, and you got to vote for 3 horses. I guess 3 points, 2 points, and 1 maybe. And so there was a lot of good horses on the list, and you don't really know who's, you don't really know if you're going to win it or not. So I wasn't going to get too hyped on it, but I was jacked when they said we won it. And especially to come from where I come from, East Texas, good horses aren't a thing. And to, like, prove that, like, hey, we got one of the best ones going is special to me. It's more special than, I got a lot of Ricky Green awards, but not very many average awards. So, like, having something like that's pretty cool,
Yeah, those awards are cool because it's coming from your peers.
Yeah.
And it's the guys that have been out there banging heads all year. So I think for me, a great horse, one like we talked about, it's going to let you win. And these guys get to see them go 75 times or more. And you see which horses are on your team and which ones aren't. And it's pretty cool because sometimes I see it even on my deal with the young ones at the futurity. Sometimes at the end of the year, you'll look back and you'll have a horse that at the beginning of the year, you're like, man, he's a little average, but you may win 100,000 on him, and you'll have one that's amazing, and you'll win 20,000 on him. And you can train them and do all this work at home, but until you show up and see if they want to help you win, you don't know. And it, like these horses, I can tell watching, they're the kind that want to help you win.
And like you said, there's horses and ropers are the same way. There's people that rope good, and then there's people that win good.
Yeah.
And horses are the same way. You might want one that feels amazing, and he never seems to pull through you on 5 for you, where another horse don't feel that great, and you're always in the short round, So
those are the gamers.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Miles, I want to give a big props to you, man, watching your career come up here these last handful of years. I mean, what you've done on the horsepower side of things, on these futurity horses, and AQHA world champion, man, congratulations on your success and what you've got going. Talk about that process. Like, I feel like it's just been a handful of years ago, and then all of a sudden you're everywhere doing these things on these horses, creating this horsepower, what you and Trevor have built together. Like, kind of take us back a little bit where, like, the start of that. I know everybody's heard it before a little bit, but just kind of give us the TV guide version of that story.
Oh, it's been cool for me because I was content going to 15 circuit rodeos every year, and that was kind of me getting to compete. And then we had a feed yard and got 1,000 head of mama cows, and that was just what I did. And I got to rope for fun and got to team up with Trevor. And then the industry took off at a good time, and the horsepower's grown. And I just talked to Denny Gentry this morning. This finale has grown every single year, and it grew again this year by 200 teams. And you're sitting here wondering, like, how can team roping get any bigger? And it keeps growing. And so that played a big role in it, but it's just been fun because, it kind of gave me a place to fit in and get to do what I love. And I love the horsemanship side of it, and it's a way for me to make a living. I would hate to have to try to make a living against these guys.
Yeah, right.
But I get to go train good horses and get to go win good on them and win the kind of money that pays the bills, And so it's just been real neat and get to ride cool horses. And ultimately, I just want to be able to train good horses and me win on them when, their career for me is up till they're 6. And then hopefully pass them off to one of these guys that can give them, another career. We got a stud right now that's his name's Pride and Joy, but he's won over 300,000 and at the futurities, and he's only a 5-year-old and just an incredible horse. And, like, he makes me excited because I could put Wesley on him tonight in the first round and know that these guys still had a chance to win a gold buckle, That's awesome. And those are the kind of horses that get me out of bed in the morning and make me want to go do it. And I had a 4-year-old mare this year. I won $165,000 on her at just the futurities, just her 4-year-old year. And it just those are the horses that they're good enough. They can be here someday, and they're also the kind of horses that want to help you win, like we talked about. Where if they don't go to these guys, they can go to a number 4 or 5
They'll
and
be
help
here
them
in this
win.
building.
Yeah. And so it's just our industry's just awesome, and it's been good for me. And I always say it, God's been good. You know, we all know that, but I've had a pretty cool journey.
The good thing about Miles too is like, if he won't invite you to come rope, at least you can watch all his stuff on Facebook.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we got that going for him. I'm a big
Might
fan
ask
and
him to
follower.
come rope once in a while. I just
Sounds
dig
like
in
I
here.
owe him an invite.
Yeah.
I keep hitting around, but I never got an invite or an address or nothing.
You're too busy out there working on an old dock, man. Hey, so we were talking about the industry before we kicked the cameras on here, and it is pretty dang cool. I mean, you guys have got two sides of it that you're working on all the time. You've got this futurity, so you've got the PRCA stuff, then we've got all the opener opens, but then this futurity side of it, and it's had to have not completely, but dang sure supplemented your business as professional team ropers, but then opened up some more doors too, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, like, I never really paid any attention to putting time into the young horses because it's such a long process.
Yeah.
And there was no return on it until they were good enough to compete for me, or
at
go
the rodeos and
right.
ropings.
So like if I'm not going to put my time on a 3-year-old up to their 8, 9, possibly 10 before they work for me, unless they have some way to get a return in the process. So now it's more fun to me. I haven't gone into it too deep, but I like to play with it some.
Sure.
Always looking for a few nice young horses, and then I bring them along. We even started raising a couple, but it gives me a shot to compete on them. And then also, if say they don't work or they're not going to fit me, there's also an avenue for them earlier on to go somewhere else.
Sure.
And so it is a good way to season horses, get in the game, give me another avenue to look forward to down the road, as well as provide a good spot for them to, be seasoned and have a return on your investment earlier on. And then hopefully maybe they do make it for me one day, maybe they don't, but there's a spot for them to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, not to mention, like, just talking about it being a supplemental industry for him, like, throughout the year, help is a big deal for us. And so when, Trevor and I are real tight with Joseph Harrison. Joseph goes to all the futurities, so, like, during the year, he'll help us, and, we'll help him swap back and forth. And you always kind of make it work, but when you're competing and you're helping, if there's 50 or 60 horses there and you're showing 5 of them and you're helping 10 of them, and it's hard to stay as locked in. And so at the end of the year, like, Wesley helps Trevor and I at the big futurity in Fort Worth. He helps us at Abilene at that big gold buckle futurity. And so, like, he gets home and he can bring his good horses and heel 2 feet for us, and he could make money that way too. There's a lot of guys. Brock Hansen makes a great living helping. He shows up with some warriors at them shows, and he heads and heels and gets paid for every run he makes. And it's made it to where, like, there's more avenues than just being on the horse that wins the futurity to make money at those things, and we're glad to have a guy like I've probably won 100 and something thousand in front of him in the last 2 months, and I ain't looked back one time.
Yeah.
I just know
just
the
doing
job
your deal.
gets done,
Yeah.
And
That's what it feels like back there.
yeah.
Same thing, huh?
Hey, and speaking of helping, I'm an hour away. I got a couple of head horses, and I've never had a call. So,
Yeah. I just don't know if I can get my 4-year-olds far enough down the arena
There's
before
two
you head
things-
them.
There's 2 things you never rush: is the delivery and the handle. So I'll wait on you.
All right, perfect. But no, it's just a good deal for everybody.
Yeah.
We were talking about it being sustainable, and guys like us that work at it all day, every day. It's great for us because we can make a good living. I think I won close to $500,000 this year, or maybe over it at the futurities. And if you it's no different than rodeo. And if you work at it and you're jackpotting and stuff, you can go make a living at it. But I think it's sustainable for the industry too, because there's the limited and the intermediate and all these side pots to where guys that haven't been doing it long enough, which I haven't been doing it that long either. I think I showed my first horse 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But they can start in it and get their clients, get a little return on their money and get their feet wet and learn. And, like, there's ways to win money at it. You don't just got to show up and get your teeth kicked in for 5 years and lose everything, and hopefully you learn enough in the process to go win. I think it's good for everybody.
You know, growing up, we had this conversation around the dinner table a lot at my house. I didn't grow up in a rodeo family, and my dad owned his own business, but we had friends that rodeoed, of course. You know, we grew up there in the Corey Mitty, Shane Schwanke, Western Montana era, and the deal was my dad was always scared of us going out and roping and being broke. You know, I mean, and that was the worry forever, is that it's pretty tough to make a living, especially team roping, because of all the horses and the trucks and the trailers. We're not just throwing a rigging in a truck with 8 of us and driving to a rodeo. And it's I think it's great now that, like, you know, with our kids, that we're in an industry now where if a kid says, I want to swing a rope, it's a good career choice. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it used to be like, man, maybe you should announce, you know, and learn some marketing because you don't rope that good. But now there's an opportunity. Like, if my kids want to rope, do it. Learn the business side of it. That's one thing I've always looked up to you at, doing the business side of it. Guys like Patrick, Trevor, yourself, you know, that have really taken the business side of it. But now our kids have an opportunity to come into this game at every level and make a living. And then if they decide you're just as much a professional as the guys at the Thomas and Mack, and look at making $500,000 a year. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
There's more ways. Go ahead.
No, I just think you got to be a little more cautious on how you say that, like you can rope for a living, because you don't just go practice, sit in the house, and wait on the jackpot. It comes with training horses, helping people rope, roping lessons, whatever, clinics, whatever you want to do. Because the roping's been great, but you don't sit at home waiting on the next futurity. You're selling horses, training horses, moving horses, buying horses. You're getting a grasp on the whole industry. And so I think even back then, it wasn't as much, but if you still hustled your way through all of it, I don't care if it's trading cows and your open steers in the middle of it. I mean, I think it all goes together to make the industry.
We have a lot of freedom. Like our time, we really do. Like, and if you don't, you know, you got to run it like a business. I mean, Monday through the weekend, you need to be working. It's finding out the different aspects of the business, because I grew up in that mindset of not knowing if you could make a living. And like, my goal from a young age was always to, like, how can I prove that you can make a living rodeoing? Like, that was my ultimate goal. Still is. Like, I want to prove to the next group that, like, hey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
So you were thinking about that. It wasn't just rope. Like, you were really thinking about that.
100%. I mean, I was probably 12 years old when I first, you know, my granddad, he raised horses, ran cattle, and, I mean, very good horseman. But, like, he truly thought, he told me, he's like, I don't think you can make a living rodeo. And I'm like, I literally was so hard-headed. I'm like, I think you can.
I'm going to prove it.
And I wanted to, and to this day, I mean, he's been one of my biggest mentors, and, like, he thinks it's so cool. And he's 91. Anyway, so to me, that has been my biggest goal, like, at the over the whole aspect, is to prove you could make a living rodeoing. And I think it's just like anything. I mean, it is a business, but it's not, just like Tyler said, you're not waiting on the next one. It's what are the different aspects?
It's not just rope and horns.
There is some of the most, when you look around the Western industry, some of the very most successful people in the whole world are associated to our industry, whether it's through cutting, cow horse, team roping, rodeo. And when we tie that all in together and people know who's around, who's associated with that, there's no telling where this thing will go. I mean, I think the future of this industry, because of those reasons, there's no limit. And I think that's going to, you know, goes hand in hand with futurity, to rodeo, to the whole deal. But we've been behind on tying that all together because there has to be a return. There's got to be a value in it. And I think we're finally piecing those things together. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it's pretty cool that there are these opportunities.
I'll make it quick because I know we're running short on time, but for the people that's listening to this, and hopefully the young people, you know, Wesley was talking about needing to do more, like he said, in terms of don't wait for the next jackpot. You got to be moving. And I remember it's been maybe 2 years ago, Trevor and I were in the indoor roping. It was raining. He is sitting in the head box on the phone for a little bit, and he got off the phone, didn't say who it was. We were riding up the arena, and he goes, that guy thinks outside the box. He's going to be successful. And I was like, who's you on the phone with? And he said, Wesley. And he said, he's just thinking. He's always thinking. He said he's not just roping. It's more than just catching 2 feet. And that goes with what I was about to say a minute ago. There's more than one avenue than just roping the horns or roping the feet that you can make a living. I worked as hard on my horsemanship for 10 years when no one could see it as these guys did on their roping for 10 years when no one was seeing it. And it paid off. That was something I never thought would pay off. But just like you said, in my own world, I'm as much a professional in this industry as these guys, but I don't do what these guys do. I make my living with the horses, and now I have to be sharp with my rope to show up and compete. But my focus is the horses, and so there's more than just one way to be successful in this industry. But sitting on your butt's not going to do it. You got to think outside the box, like Trevor said he does, and work hard at it and hustle. Like Tyler, he's always doing lessons or trading stuff or horses or trying to, selling a few embryos to his good mare, and just doing little different stuff, because if you're just sitting around waiting for the next rope, and you're going to go broke. That's
it. And I tell you what, guys, from like myself on the outside of it, I love nothing more than team roping, and because of the whole industry is what also allows us to do our stuff on the business. Like, I get to make a living in the marketing side of it and on all of this stuff that's going on behind the scenes because the industry is growing. Because if not, we don't have jobs. So, the young people out there, that maybe you're not going to be a number 8 or higher or whatever, and you're just roping for fun, but you love the industry. Because all of these things are happening, it's building this whole big base, from the World Series to the PRCA to all the business guys that we talk to. There's money here, and there's money where you can raise a family. I make a great living team roping, basically. You know what I mean? Not necessarily. I haven't swung a leg over a horse in 2 months.
But you're involved in it.
But I'm involved in it every single day. And that's pretty dang cool that our industry allows that, because without that, we don't have a job.
That was the exact reason we started the World Youth Team Roping Championships. Wesley and I, we were like, man, I remember the first time we made the finals, there wasn't a patch on our shirt, and but we didn't know the people in the industry to get going, whether it was Wrangler or CSI Saddle Pads or Saddle Company. It didn't matter. We didn't know any of them to do it. So, like, when we started the World Youth Team Roping, we started with the mindset of, let's get these kids sponsored. Let's get these kids endorsed by the sponsors that are going to be looking forward to expanding with them as they grow. So, with that, how many kids was there this year, Wesley?
We had 1,300 teams over the weekend. That was counting a couple open ropens, but there was a lot of teams.
Yeah. So we were trying to get the kids involved in the sponsors deal and just make the whole industry grow, because, like I said, the more growth, the more we all profit and grow as well.
Yeah, and hopefully give those kids just a little bit of hope, because a lot of kids are hearing the same thing that we've all heard. I said, I just wanted it to be a hobby. I thought that's all it could be. And Wesley, people said you can't make a living doing it, and show these kids and give them a chance to be around you guys and stuff, and see that, hey, if I work hard enough at this, I can do whatever the heck I want,
Absolutely. I love that deal. I forgot to even talk about that. What you guys are doing for those kids, I think you and I were texting or something when it was going on. That is awesome. I announced the high school finals. My wife's like, hey, they don't pay you very good at that deal. That's our one time a year where we can go take a family vacation. I'm like, look, that National High School Finals Rodeo is my favorite thing that I do every year, and it's because we get to walk around and talk to those kids and have these conversations, and then next thing you know, you're sitting up here.
Well, they're the
like literally.
And
it's so cool. And I love, me personally, that's my favorite part of the industry, is bringing those kids up and seeing what they do.
It's been
good on you guys.
It's been one of the most fun things I've done, for sure. Just to get to the pros rub shoulders with those kids, and they get to see a good group of guys that represent the industry and rope with them, and as they go through their process and meet some introductions with these different companies, that they get a foot in the door at a young age, and they get to learn some of the responsibilities that come with the sponsorship too, Facebook posts and social media and carrying yourself well and things like that grow into a good relationship down the road, that just gives them a head start, per se, as far as that goes.
I don't think people grasp the fact that how important it is connections are. To be able to make that phone call and pull something through, whether you're rodeoing and need a place to stop, or a horse, or just to help somebody help their business grow.
My whole career started from a connection, a relationship. I had the guy that drove for Trevor, Sly, messaged me and said, what about the mare that you posted the video of on Facebook? He showed it to Trevor. I sold her to Trevor, conducted myself properly, and
that's how it started.
Changed
Miles?
my life.
Yeah.
One video on Facebook, and then a connection.
Did Trev slide into your DMs, or was that?
Yeah, he's been trying to. Yeah.
That's how it all got started.
Yeah, but that's
he's
like
relentless.
you never know what one little situation can change your life. And then I didn't know it back then. That was 10 years ago, you know, when I was in college. But it, you know, and then the kids got to conduct themselves right. You got to see the big picture and do the right thing.
That was our goal, to give the kid from Ohio an opportunity to present himself the right way, get endorsed, and grow.
When they're going to meet kids from Arizona to California, it's kids that they may rope together one day, or they may start a business together one day. But the more people you can meet at a young age and never quit with that theory over your course, meet as many people as you can and create as many relationships as you can, because just like you said, there's no telling where that could lead to.
So I know we got to go here, guys, but I this one hits really close to home. So my son's playing football at Texas Tech, and he's a starting outside linebacker, and we had this conversation a week ago. He's a really good kid. He's just one of those guys, and he's been like they'll ask him to do some like uniform reveals and stuff, and he said no a few times. And like this last one that they did here a couple weeks ago, Mahomes tweeted it all over, and it could have been him. And they're a pain. We all know how photo shoots go, right? They're a pain in the butt. We've all, nothing starts on time. It's a pain. You got other stuff to do. And so I kind of had to have like the agent talk with my son, like, look, it's not about the jersey reveal. It's about being in the room with somebody, and you never know what it's not even about football. It's about you being in a room. Don't say no when they ask you to be on the radio. Don't say no. Is it a pain in the ass? 100%. 100%.
You want to be at the front of the line.
Be in the front of the line, because what happens if you say no enough or you don't do it, they quit asking you, and then that opportunity that God has planned for you that you say no to disappears, because you don't know. You'll be in the room with that guy that runs a huge oil business in Midland, Texas, who, when you get your master's degree in 2 years, offers you a job for $220,000 a year.
Yeah, and that guy might share. You might want to be a team roper, and that guy might accidentally love team roping, and it's like opportunity creates connections, and connections will drive your career.
100%. 100%. Well, guys, we are right on the money. It's 10:16. I said 10:15 we'd get you out of here, so sorry for an extra minute, but thank you so much for coming up.
Good luck
Thanks
tonight,
for having
guys.
us.
Thanks,
y'all do good.
Guys, like Miles just said, good luck, fellas.
Thank you.
Go get them.
Need it.